Good evening, Dr. Proskauer. How are you tonight?
Just fine, thanks, Brenda. Thanks for having me here.
You're welcome. It's a pleasure to have you. Can you tell us what karmic therapy can teach us about our past lives?
Sure. Past lifetimes, of course, are part of many Eastern religious beliefs, and they haven't been so popular in the West. But here we're not talking about beliefs or dogma at all. We're just talking about direct experience in karmic therapy. I particularly don't insist that people believe in anything when I work with them. But past lives do come up when we search deeply into the psyche for the source of people's suffering. And that's why we work with them. Usually it's just the traumatic moments in past lives that come up. But we do learn something about the types of lifetimes and the sequencing of them, and it's rather interesting. For example, when we are first arriving on the earth, so to speak, we may have animal lifetimes, which introduce us to the nature of this environment. And there, everything is very basic and primal. If an animal gets hurt or killed, it's just the physical experience. There's not a lot of emotional content to it. And when they're hungry, they're hungry. When they mate, they mate. There's not a lot of complication, but they do have all these experiences. And sometimes those experiences plant a seed for something that happens later in a human lifetime where there's more complexity. And things evolve. The beginnings of social relationships develop in the primitive man, and then civilization comes along and things get more complicated. So we get more emotional life in the primitive man and then more mental life in the civilized period. So it's like a layering effect. First is the basic physical experience in animal lives, and then the experience of emotion combined with physical in the primitive man, like caveman, and then later on the mental life on top of the physical and the emotional. So by the time we're living now, we have all of this complexity plus our spiritual lives. So it's gotten very densely intertwined. And we see all those things separate in the karmic therapy process. It's an evolving system of complexity. It's like going to school. If you start in kindergarten, you start with simple toys, and as you work your way through school, it gets more and more complex. You hit adolescence and you're working with abstract mental concepts. And then there are spiritual issues too that come up as you come along into later childhood. So in adult life. So this is like that, only it's played out in the levels of development of man, starting with animal lifetimes. There are also things that I call cosmic scripts. Not everybody experiences that, but there is actually a theme that runs through all of your lives. And it was a theme that you had with you when your consciousness first came to the earth. And that's what I call a cosmic script. Like a reason for being here in Earth School. What was your reason for enrolling in the first place?
Yeah.
So that's kind of an overview. It's a lot different from what you hear, but there are many issues like what is karma itself that we get to look at. It's not a reward-punishment system. It's more about learning. If something happens and it's upsetting or it hurts other people in a lifetime, you get to come back and study that and learn about it so that you learn how to correct errors that you've made, to appreciate the significance of your actions on a higher level. It's really a learning situation like a laboratory. And if we look at our lives like that, actually we begin to feel intrigued with it, less like victims and more like, what can I learn from this?
Yeah, right. And so let's remind everybody that you're the author of Karmic Therapy, Healing the Split Psyche, and it's available at razorpages.com.
Yes, and there are many examples in this book of specific patients and their past life recall and how it relates to their current lives. So if people are interested, they can get the book and find out more.
Great. Well, thank you for your time tonight.
Great. Thank you very much, Brenda.